some of you asked me about my dress code and some of the brochures, and I wanted to explain it, why I use it as a motto of kind of key message. So this one is produced in my native city, Vinnytsia, which is a central logistical hub. We are the only city in Ukraine now rehabilitating those who've been in Russian captivity, one of the biggest medical hub. So you see, and the role of Ukrainian women is something that's going to be in this presentation. But the second pin, it's a present from my friend. It's something that Jade just mentioned. Dare to be. Ukrainians are actually striking in the motto because we really want, love, dare to be. And that's something I will start with, I believe, morning of February 24. I overslept invasion. Because for some two simple reasons. I used to be associate professor in Ukraine, I am still, and working also for some governmental projects. So basically I just took my phone completely because I was so devastated with many messages that I was receiving, so I just overslept. And therefore, this presentation is based on basically some of my ideas not to oversleep anymore. Jade was zooming us in. I want to zoom us out, where we are today, and especially it's a privilege to be, first of all, in Sweden, where President of Ukraine was just, and it's a pleasure to represent Center for Geopolitics, because on the Downing Street there is a meeting between President Zelensky and Keir Starmer happening as we speak, together, of course, with some other leaders of 20 countries for the coalition of willing. So therefore, we are zooming in and understanding. I love this photo because it's taken up from the Facebook of Embassy of Sweden in Kyiv, and let me explain to it, because that's some of the visual images that do work, apart from long tests. Cats is the representative of the animal who is very silent, so very much in intelligence working, but also it represents the armed forces and secret services. So basically cats on the Gripens, you name it, right? So that's something that we were really admiring, the com team of the Embassy of Sweden in Kyiv, but that's what it happened. But let me come to the left and the right. Brussels talks yesterday on the frozen assets usage and for a moment not usage. We are still waiting until December meeting as we speak. Of course, we are talking about a lot of defense, and of course, we are talking about mostly about EU defense roadmap till 2030, and of course, some of the packages, and EU is preparing what we say coalition of capabilities for itself, where Ukraine is one of the integral part in understanding, first of all, Ukraine is at first line of Europe defense. Finally, it's already been legalized in some of efforts, starting from March this year, when the European Commissioner on Security, Defense and Space Mr. Kubilius was presenting it. And, some of the other activities that we were doing together with our European partners. So basically, that's why I'm putting this message. Of course, yesterday's and the day before yesterday announcement on the sanctions package, 19th sanction package from the EU, so-called energy bloc, but also US sanctions, something that was very much expected. So you see, of course, two names of the oil, the biggest actually oil company with their subsidiary, Rosneft and Lukoil. And last but not least, why the photo of Xi and Donald Trump is there? Because it's important for the next week. And that's something that we should take into consideration. And we as Ukrainian scholars dare to be actually analyzing that front as well, because from one side, we definitely know that Putin does not believe that Trump would authorize Tomahawk strikes for a moment as it is, as we see. Lesson number two, that the war is entering another 5 or 6 month cycle in which negotiations are almost unrealistic. The main negotiations of this year, and possibly it's going to happen the next week, of course, between the US and China. Raw materials is one of the examples, but not only for this thing. Latvia published one of the brilliant handbook on the disinformation, because Russian propaganda disinformation is one of the heaviest and skyrocketing not only as we speak, but also kinetically, as we know from the news, but not only from the news, and very much stepping into European Union countries precisely. I also, and Shashank, I promised it specifically to you because you were just the photo when you interviewed Mark Rutte. And because Mark Rutte is in London today, so I really wanted to echo that specifically for the. And just last but not least, it's a New York Times map where we are and where the Russians, presumably, are, how we are speaking to that. All right, so zooming out in order to zoom in. So finally, I'm coming to the topic of our discussion, which is deterrence by innovation, as I call it. And the idea came very simply because I work very much in understanding how the technological advancement can be an instrumental tool for some of the countries, and Ukraine is one of them. And because I'm very much involved in the strategy of victory design as we speak, and basically now we definitely understand victory is no longer defined as a single breakthrough or decisive battle. It is the cumulative results of hundreds of operations, each one carving fractures into the adversary's political, military, and psychological structure, something we've already heard from Jades and something I think we'll hear from upcoming panelists. Behind these operations stand hundreds and thousands of individual technologists, engineers, soldiers, volunteers, men, women, kids in particular, each adapting, experimenting, and scaling innovation for superiority. As one of my friend who is Ukrainian, actually all of my friends are Ukrainian officers just right now, every drone in the sky today is a fragment for a larger victory. So it means it's a strategic advantage. That's something that we want to see. And drone is only one example. It doesn't mean they're all examples. Just for the sake of the argument and today's presentation, we will zoom in to the some of the drone productions. It's largely overlooked the transformative power of small tactical UAVs, their portability, autonomy, and ability to empower individual soldiers, which was once considered niche, has become a very decentralized, swarm-driven revolution of the battlefield. From one perspective, advancement in AI, sensors, and automation are fueling technological progress and expanding civilian applications. Yet from another, they challenge decision makers because there is no place to hide anymore in this world. So basically, all of us are keeping on that. The central question now is merely how to win wars, but how to maintain superiority across all domains. It's the key one. Land, air, sea, cyber, space, information, we can say. Also, this applies equally to nations facing open kinetic conflict and those countering hybrid operations and coercive influence. And therefore, something that we were explaining and actually advising to the European leaders very earlier in 2025 happened 2 weeks ago in Denmark. So Ukrainian operators from Kyiv were shutting down Russian drones over Denmark. So it's nothing to laugh. It's a good example to expand, to some others, because we are in the phase now, and that's why in your countries next week there will be a lot of my friends visiting, specifically for the lessons learned sharing, and of course providing what they can teach. But in this transition period, I believe it's very important that you will allow us also to be in the interoperability phase, as it's already mentioned. In this slide, I just wanted to say the strength in military cooperation because of the previous slide on the EU level, but also on the bilateral. Why I mentioned UK is also absolutely about 100 years agreement that we signed and just ratified 2 weeks ago when our speaker was in London, Ruslan Stefanchuk. Of course, financial support strategies, that's why I mentioned SAFE instrument, Pearl instrument, and many, many other financial instruments, not only European, but let's say within the help. And because today is the day of the Coalition of Willing meeting, where a financial instrument is something under the agenda discussion. And of course, something that we will zoom into much more is the technological advancement, investment in the defense technologies, and how to do that in a more efficient way. Don't laugh on the next one, but I really want you to zoom into, because that's how in a communication we want you to know what we are doing. For some of you, it's very easy. But for some of you, it's an eye-opening, and it's something that we love how the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine is doing, is basically explaining you a very important things in some of the wordings. So all of this vampire, Shrike, Palyanytsia, maybe Palyanytsia you heard first one, now you are listening more about flamingo, then the colors will match, not maybe this one of the jacket, but another type. So this is just one of the examples of how we, in 2024, 2024 to be precisely, started, to communicate better in our partnership plan. That's why we are communicating why the joint production lines is something of very much an importance. That's why we also say that Ukraine drones ecosystem is something that we can share as a lessons learned since 2024, but specifically with the focus of 2025. So what we have is unprecedented and converged of military, civilian, and private innovation. Because, as I told you, no one wants to oversleep anymore. That's why we have every second of our time is really precious. Unlike everyone else, Ukraine's drone sector unites private capital, the armed forces, the governmental structures, and the very vast community of civilian technologists. And that's who are making the game changer sometimes. Emerging from necessity, drones filled the gap created by chronic shortages of artillery and ammunition since 2023 in particular, but also 2024 and 2025 subsequently. So in this context, the FPV drones, some of them that they are presented here, they evolved into highly flexible, expandable, cost-efficient precision tools. Cost-efficient and precision, there are two words merging for what we take to you guys as a lesson learned. With production costs as low as $500, even sometimes less for the FPVs as of the end of 2025, Ukrainian innovators maximize efficiency by excluding labor costs, by often relying on crowdsourced funding or personal initiatives. And we call it kitchen FPVs because the majority of these FPV drones are garage FPVs. They are being constructed on the kitchens where the most decision-making in the family is taking place, or in the garage with your friends and mates, as we say it, because normally that's how to make it protected or at least, to stay tuned. Ukraine's drones are evolutionary rather than revolutionary weapons. So definitely you will ask me, what is deterrence by innovation then, if it's not a revolutionary effort? I would say it's also one of the preconditions for Ukraine ingenuity. Maybe we will use that term as well in order to talk about one of the pillars of the deterrence by innovation. The integration of civilian expertise from sectors such as finance and software engineering and a civil-military fusion unparalleled in modern warfare. So that's the motto when mass has its own quality in quantity really works on Ukrainian example. What other things are very much important that AI as of 2024 and specifically of 2025 became the enabler for the deterrence by innovation. Artificial intelligence is transforming warfare into a domain defined by precision, speed, and autonomy. And that's sometimes you've heard about autonomous platforms in the system that very much tracing. So there is no actually need sometimes to have a physical presence on the battlefield. You need much more of the drone operators in the what we say cities like Vinnytsia, but not only Ternopil, Zhytomyr, Kyiv, and many others. Maybe some of you've heard of them, and some of them maybe don't. Which where the drone operators really are settled in because it's safer for this reason. Today, armed forces employ AI-powered reconnaissance drones, demining robots, autonomous combat platforms capable of analyzing satellite imagery, forecasting threats, detecting attacks, and protecting critical infrastructure. Still, it's really hard to protect the critical infrastructure when the civilian infrastructure is under constant threat, shelling, as it was in Odessa region this morning, as it was 2 days in Kyiv, again in my native Vinnytsia as well 3 days ago. So when we are talking about relatively safe cities, still the moment it happens. So one more thing that I wanted to use. Some of you asked about the Operation Spiderweb, and now it's absolutely amazing time to reveal why I'm using this brush, in a sense. 50% of the drone operators being involved in the Spiderweb were women, Ukrainian women. And this one, I will leave more into you in the QR codes, some of the more analysis at the same time, policy analysis that Center for Geopolitics produced under the Future of Ukraine program. We presented it throughout 2025 because we cannot definitely rely on yesterday's tactics to fight tomorrow's battles. Thank you.